Hello everyone, this is chess expert David Luscomb bringing you another exciting chess game. This game was played between myself and one of my friends, the Terminator, Shawn Bhuiyan, and this is a friendly match that was played in 2015. The exact date is not correct, but my opponent is about 1400 and has been gaining strength very rapidly in chess. He's been getting very good. So in this video I'm going to cover a chess concept called minority attacks. And surprisingly I made it to the expert level without really understanding a minority attack. So Shawn has been helping me learn the minority attack better and to use it during my games. In fact, recently online I've been using it in several Blitz games, and it has really helped. So, as I have often mentioned before, in chess, you have to create targets. And a minority attack is a type of pawn attack that is used to create targets. Targets typically don't magically appear, but when they do, it's like having Christmas. So let's go ahead and take a look at this game. To d4, d5, we see this normal development. And I have studied much chess with Shawn over the past 6 months, and we've learned much from each other. At the same time, if we take a look at Shawn's setup, he is playing the improvised Coley, which is one of my opening specialties. So essentially, Shawn has learned that from me and is using it against me. In addition, he has added several major improvements to this opening system, including an early c4 pawn thrust, which is extremely useful. So let's go ahead and take a look at this and see how Shawn plays this differently than how I typically play it. And here we see the c4 improvement variation. It is the Booyah pawn thrust variation of the improvised Coley. After that variation, I decided to go ahead and castle. I was not sure what to do against this pawn thrust booyah variation, so I played it safe and decided to castle away. C takes d5, e takes d5, bishop d3. A fine move, which makes it harder to develop my light squared bishop. I really wanted to move this bishop out to f5. That is a key square. That's an amazing square for the bishop. But I can't move it here at this moment because this bishop is controlling that square. So therefore, I thought for a few moments, what to do. Do I want to really move my bishop to a lesser square? And I was like, nah, I'll just develop another piece. Sounds like a good plan, so I move my knight out. Knight c3, rook e8. My goal here is to control this very important e4 square by opponent castles, and then knight e4. So I have so far achieved one objective. I have secured control over this very important strategic square, and I have essentially shut down Shawn's bishop for the moment. It can get out later in the game. In addition to that, I have moved this knight to make room for my other knight to come out to f6, which makes room for my bishop to develop. So, I have to kind of do this in order. It's kind of like when you start cleaning your room and you're trying to organize things in a certain way, and this is in the way of that, so you move this to put this here, but then that opens up a space over here so that you can move this other object over here, which opens up the space over here. It's kind of like playing Tetris. So that's essentially what I'm trying to do here. Queen c2, great move by Shawn, building up the pressure and putting a question to my knight on e4. It must be defended, so I play knight df6, rook a to b1. An excellent move. It's pretty subtle here. I was not completely sure what was going on here. I didn't quite understand rook to b1, but certainly in a few moves I realized what I had missed and the trouble that I was getting into. This game does teach me a very important lesson. And here I play knight takes c3. There is a reason behind this move. And no, it's not that I'm crumbling under pressure. In fact, what I'm doing here is maximizing my piece's potential. My two knights were covering the same very important e4 square. So my knights are basically being lazy. It's like having 8 construction workers change a light bulb. 7 watch and 1 actually changes it. So both my knights were guarding that square. One was actually on the square, and the other one was just guarding it, not really doing anything. So therefore I traded off one lazy knight, or rather fired it, so that my other knight can cover the important e4 square alone. This way I am not doing double duty. Queen out to c2, an important move, keeping the pressure on my knight. Now I would like to take a moment before we get into the crucial parts of this game to talk about some of the benefits of chess. Chess is important, not just for the brain, but also for building up muscle mass. It is very important when you play chess and when you study chess to use weighted pieces as often as you can, because the weighted pieces can help build muscle mass and cause weight loss. Believe me, since I have started playing chess, I have become ripped, and Shawn has also gotten much stronger. Chess does wonders for physical strength. Alright, let's get back to the game. So, here we see f5 being played. It is important in chess to defend something with the least valuable piece. Here I could have played bishop to f5 to defend my knight instead of using the pawn. But the point is that my knight is worth 3 points. My bishop is also worth 3 points. So it doesn't make sense for those two powerful pieces to be defending each other. Therefore, I used a pawn which is only worth 1 point to defend a piece that's worth 3 points. And that's a very important concept in chess, because you don't want to tie up your most valuable pieces to defend each other. You want to use pawns to defend things as often as you can. In addition, by defending this knight with this pawn, I am freeing up this rook on e8 so it can do more important things. Alright, b4. Oh no, the minority attack charges forward. So let's take a moment to talk about minority attacks, what they are, and how to use them. A minority attack is when you lead an attack against your opponent's pawns with fewer pawns. It might be an attack of 2 pawns versus 3, or 1 pawn versus 2. Often when pawns are linked in a chain, they are very strong and support the center and each other. A minority attack seeks to break the link in the chain or make the base of the chain much weaker, essentially creating a weak link that can be targeted. It does seem counterintuitive at first because you are leading an attack with less material, but it really does work. Let's take a look. Here we see a6. So here I feared b4, b5, which could fracture my pawn structure, so I'm trying to prevent that with a6, but then a4 happens, so now b5 is once again a threat. I try to defend it with this bishop, but b5 is played anyway, and the minority attack crashes through. No matter what I do, I'm going to end up with some type of weakness here. If I play rook e to c8 and decline to capture, then he can capture twice on the a file, play rook to b6, and have a double attack on this a pawn, and much pressure on my position. Not to mention, just a few moves ago, my pawn chain was very strong. But now I have these 2 pawn islands, I have an Isolani on the a file, and a backward pawn on the c file. So this is going to be very difficult for me. I would not like that position at all. Therefore, I decided to take the pawn to minimize the damage. I capture again, bishop takes, and here I made another slight error and played bishop takes b5. Better yet, would have been to play rook to c8 in order to maintain the pressure. By trading off the bishop in this manner, I am helping his rook develop to a better square, where it can put pressure not only on the b pawn, but now also on the d pawn, which does happen in the game. Here I played b6, and once again f4 would have been better for me, because that would have been my own minority attack, seeking to take on e3 and essentially create a weak backward pawn on the e file that I could attack. It would also be trading off one of my weak pawns on the f file. Alright, so here I play b6 because I wanted to stop rook out to c5. I felt like I needed to stop that threat, but my knight does cover that square, so playing b6 was not the best move. Rook ec8, queen b2, and here I play knight c3. I realized that defending the pawn would have left me with a very passive position, and in fact I would have lost the pawn anyway. Queen to b3 having a double attack on this b pawn and also on this pawn over here, so therefore I must try to defend everything. Play rook here, and then I can no longer hold on to the material. I'm going to lose at least one pawn. After king f7, rook takes a5, and the pawn falls. So therefore I went in for activity, play knight c3, and here the computer says that I am slightly weaker, about half a pawn down. So I do have some play here. I'm not completely lost, but my position is not the best that it could be. And here I played rook out to c6, which was a slight mistake, weakening my back rank. Slightly better is queen out to d8, and I am worse, but I could hold on. The reason rook c6 is bad is that after the rooks trade off, we can see that rook to c1 is a definite threat, pinning this knight to my queen, and it puts me in a very difficult position. Bhuiyan prepares that and plays king out to h1 so that this rook will not be lost due to a knight check. So the king gets out of check and prepares rook to c1. Here I should have played f4. I am lost, but it's better late than never for a minority attack. Instead, I played rook a2, which is a fatal mistake, moving a second rook off my back rank. Shawn senses that something is off, and pounces like a mountain lion stalking its prey. Queen out to b8, check. King f7, knight f3, a waiting move, preparing to play knight e5 with check, picking up the queen. So therefore I move the queen out of the way, but that drops the knight. After check, knight e5, I dare not take this rook on f1. At first it looks good, but at this point I have nothing further, and checkmate is unstoppable. So therefore, I play queen e8 to stop the checkmate, but in doing so I drop the knight on c3. The game continues for a little bit longer, and then eventually I get checkmated. But it is important to note that finally I realized that a minority attack was important. It is a little bit too late at this point, but I played f4 anyway. After the queens trade off, pawns trade off, I was checkmated several moves later. This is a very important game, and a great game played by Shawn, who taught me a very important chess lesson of minority attacks. I also learned some things about maintaining the pressure and the position. So thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, share, comment, and I will see you next time.